when the silence screamed. Had been 9 years since Elaine married Darren. On paper their life appeared perfect. A house near the lake in Minnesota, 2 golden retrievers, and a daughter who had just turned 7. To others they looked like the American dream, a picture perfect family built on love and stability. Elaine had always been someone who noticed the little things. The way Darren's smile no longer reached his. How his phone was suddenly always on silent. How the business trips grew longer but the receipts in his suitcase became fewer. The man she had once trusted with all her heart was becoming a stranger in their own. It all began with a lipstick. Deep burgundy, not a shade Elaine would ever wear. She found it in the glove compartment of Darren's car while looking for his insurance card. First she laughed it off, thinking maybe it belonged to a coworker's wife, or had somehow ended up there by accident. But the uneasy feeling settled in her chest like wet cement. 2 weeks later she followed him. She wasn't proud of it, of sneaking around her own life, of lying to her daughter to sneak away. She tracked him to a small art studio downtown, a place he had no reason to visit. She sat in the car for 40 minutes before he came out, laughing with her. The woman looked young, mid-20s. At most, with untamed curls and paint-stained fingers. They weren't holding hands, but the closeness in their body language was unmistakable. Elaine watched as Darren opened the car door for her, something he hadn't done for Elaine in years. A simple action shattered everything. She didn't confront him that night or the next. Instead she observed, she kept track, she counted the lies. Smiled at dinner, packed school lunches, and kissed him goodbye with the taste of betrayal on her lips. Elaine had never seen herself as someone who could live with such deceit. But each day she wore it more easily. Her mask, her silence, her king sorrow. It was strange how quickly pain could become part of a routine. Mornings with coffee, evenings with lies. She started writing again. Not a journal, not letters. It was something darker. Sharp lines on the backs of grocery receipts, poetic fragments that spilled from her like open wounds. He built a kingdom with my bones and gave the crown to her. At night, while Darren slept beside her, she stared at the ceiling, wondering how many women had done the same, lying next to the very man who hurt them, pretending to sleep. But something changed when she found a photo on Darren's iPad. A selfie, silly and playful. The young woman, the artist, with Darren's hoodie draped over her bare shoulders. She was in their lake house, their home. That was the night Elaine stopped grieving. That was the night she became someone entirely different. The next morning she looked Darren in the eyes and smiled. "Let's take a weekend trip," she said, pouring him orange juice. "Just the two of us. We need to reconnect." He blinked clearly, surprised. "Yeah, you're serious." "I'm trying," she replied. "Aren't you?" He agreed, though guilt flickered in his eyes like a candle trying not to go. He had no idea she already knew everything. He had no clue she had seen the text messages, the secret emails, even the digital receipt for the necklace he bought, engraved with the other woman's initials. Elaine booked the cabin herself, a quiet place deep in the woods, a spot they had visited once before during the early years of their marriage. Back then it had been for love. Now it was for something else. She packed light. She brought wine and the same burgundy lipstick she had found in his car. When Darren asked, "Since when do you wear that shade?" she simply smiled and said, "Since I stopped pretending." The first night was quiet. On the second, she confronted him. "I know," she said. pouring another glass of wine. About her. About everything. Darren froze. I've known for months, she continued, her voice steady. I've seen the photos, the messages, the receipts. She wore your hoodie in our home. He tried to respond, but Elaine raised her hand. Don't lie. You've already taken that from me. Let me have my truth. Then she pulled a small box from her purse and set it on the table. Inside was the necklace, the one meant for the other woman. How did you get this? He asked, his panic growing. I had it redirected, she said. You ordered it to our house. Not very smart. Darren. She stood looking down at him. So, what do you want to do now? He said nothing. He had no answer. Because Darren never thought the storm would come from the woman he underestimated. Something inside Elaine was no longer unraveling. Something new was awakening. The silence between them grew heavy and dangerous. Darren opened his mouth, searching for an excuse, some justification. But no words came. For the first time he looked at Elaine not as the naive wife he thought he could fool, but as someone he never truly knew. I didn't mean to hurt you, he finally whispered. Elaine laughed. Not loudly, not cruelly. Just a soft, breathless, humorless sound. That's the first lie you've told tonight, she said. And the most pathetic. She turned toward the fireplace, tossing the necklace into the flames. The silver chain twisted and turned black, the delicate heart charm melting into liquid loss. She can't have what you bought with my pain, Elaine said, watching it burn. Darren leaned back, his face pale, his hands trembling. So what happens now? He asked. Elaine didn't look at him. I rebuild, she said. But not with you. Not for you. She walked to the bedroom, zipped up her small overnight bag, and grabbed her coat from the rack. Darren followed, stumbling over his words. You're just leaving me here. She turned at the doorway. No, Darren. You left me months ago. I'm just returning the favor. He stood on the porch as her car pulled away, surrounded by trees, by silence, by everything he thought he could get away with. The night swallowed him. Elaine didn't cry. Not this time. She turned up the music, drove through the fog, and didn't look back. For the first time in a long time, her reflection in the rearview mirror wasn't shattered. It was reborn. Then,